Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Beth, and this is Best Bookish Reviews. And I'm coming to you today with another video with a lot of books. And I know I just presented a TBR, a mini TBR yesterday for a readathon in January, but this is a TBR for the year, and it's a reading challenge. TBR Spin 2026, and it's hosted by Freshly Read Books. I will link her down below. And she, from what I understand, each month she spins a wheel, and the prompt that it lands on, you choose your book, I think. And then she also hosts reading sprints that day that she spins for you to start your book, or you can read something else, but she uses it to start her book for the month. So I have two really big books that I'm going to go ahead and show you first, and that's all I'm going to tell you about the reading challenge, because she explains it so much better than I do, and she's been hosting it. This is her 4th year, and yes, this is my first year. I just found her this morning about 3 o'clock. No, I found her last night because I subscribed to her last night, and I was like, I am in, because there are some books that I wanted to read and I didn't get them on my 2026 books. And so, yes, here we go. So the first one is a classic, and it's a really big classic, and I will be using the audio to help me, but it is one that I marked out, and I actually got to page 251 of this classic, but then I put it down and walked away. It is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. Now, we know, pretty much everybody knows that he's thrown in prison for a crime he's not committed. He spends a lot of time in this prison. He gets out, and he finds out that there's treasure on this island. He also finds out that his woman has the man who's thrown him in prison is trying to take his woman, or he has taken his woman. I don't know. Anyway, I had read quite a bit, and I was really enjoying it. I don't know why I put it down, but anyway, I want to read this book. Not because it's so big, but because I feel like I will enjoy it. And I'm determined to read it. It's over 1,200 pages. In fact, it's 1,243 pages. I would also like to read the book, The Real Story of the Count of Monte Cristo, but let me get this one done first. So the first book on my, now this won't be the first one necessarily that I read, but the first book on my list is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. My other chunker weighs in at how many pages? Probably weighs in at about 10 pounds. 1153. And it was published or copyrighted. I've read it before. This is a reread, but it's been so long. Okay, this says it was copyrighted in 1986. So it's not a classic, but to me it's a classic. I read it when I was, I don't know, early 20s, really early 20s, but I've watched the movie several times. I'm going to read It by Stephen King. That's big. And I don't remember it being this big. I really don't remember it being the size of a brick. But this is a story about a town that is having some children go missing, and nobody notices what's going on except the kids. And it's up to the kids to solve the crime. They solve it, and they make a pact to come back if it ever happens again. I had to have the copy of this book. So now it's time to read the copy of this book. My sister's coming in. I have a feeling some of my Stephen Kings are going to be gone. Yeah. All right. Now, I have one that my friend told me is like such a good fantasy. And so, it's time I read that book. And so I put it on my list. It's called Mortal Queens by Victoria McCombs. And I will tell you what it's about. They vanish without a trace, disappear into the night. Each year on the center island, one girl is chosen to be the next mortal queen of the idolized Fae. The mortals praise these lucky girls, but their daughters are never seen again. The Fae realm is eternal night, where disputes are settled by chess matches. Power is acquired through the most devious kinds of trickery, and 7 elusive kings roam. The Fae hide their faces behind masks and guard their glass hearts to keep them from shattering. But beyond the veil of this luxurious paradise, a dark secret simmers, for their queens have disappeared. Which is why they're called mortal queens. I don't know. Okay, and then I chose one from my very favorite thriller author, and that is Lee Child and Andrew Child, I guess authors, Exit Strategy, which is a Reacher novel. And it says, Jack Reacher will make 3 stops today. Not all of them were planned. First, a Baltimore coffee shop. A seat in the corner facing the day. Black coffee, 2 refills, no messing around. A minor interruption from 2 of the customers, but nothing he can't deal with swiftly. As he leaves, a young guy brushes against him in the doorway. Instinctively, Reacher checks the pocket holding his cash and passport. There's no problem. Nothing is missing. Second, a store to buy a coat. Nothing fancy. Something he can ditch when he heads to warmer climates. Large enough to fit a man the size of a bank vault. As he pulls out his cash, he finds something new in his pocket. A handwritten note. A desperate plea for help. Third, wherever this bend in the road takes him. Impressed by the guy's technique and intrigued by the message, Reacher makes it his mission to find out more. I absolutely love the Reacher novels. This is an amazing series. I have not read them in order. I have not read all of them. I have just barely touched the surface. But I love reading Jack Reacher novels. Okay. And I just realized that I got the large print edition of this book, but I have James by Percival Everett, and it is the large print edition. What fun. Oh. Says, when Jim overhears that he is about to be sold to a man in New Orleans, separated from his wife and daughter forever, he runs away until he can formulate a plan. Meanwhile, Huck has faked his own death to escape his violent father. As all readers of American literature know, thus begins the dangerous and transcendent journey by raft down the Mississippi River toward the elusive and unreliable promise of the free states and beyond. Yeah, I'm ready to read this one. Then I have a Adam Dalgliesh. It's The Murder Room. And it says, the Dupain, a small private museum on the edge of London's Hampstead Heath, devoted to the interwar years 1919 to 39, is in turmoil. The trustees, the three children of the museum, founder old Max Dupain, are bitterly at odds over whether it should be closed. Then one of them is brutally murdered, and what seemed to be no more than a family dispute erupts into horror. For even as Commander Adam Dalgliesh and his team investigate the first killing, a second corpse is discovered. Clearly, someone at the Dupain is prepared to kill and kill again. The Murder Room. Okay, so I am very much into Gothic literature in my classics. And I read The Mysteries of Udolpho this year. I just read it like last month. And so I wanted to pick up another Anne Radcliffe. So I have The Romance of the Forest. And it says, set in a Roman Catholic Europe of violent passions and extreme oppression, the novel follows the fate of its heroine, Adeline, who is mysteriously placed under the protection of a family fleeing Paris for debt. They take refuge in a ruined abbey in southeastern France where sinister relics of the past, a skeleton, a manuscript, and a rusty dagger are discovered in concealed rooms. Adeline finds herself at the mercy of the abbey's proprietor, whose attentions finally force her to contemplate escape to distant regions. Then I have another little bit of a chunker. This one is only maybe about 648 pages. This one is by Philip Gregory, and it's Wide Acre. And it says, Beatrice Lacey, as strong-minded as she is beautiful, refuses to conform to the social customs of her time. Destined to lose her family name and beloved Wide Acre estate once she is wed, Beatrice will use any means necessary to protect her ancestral heritage. So, I've heard Jenna from Books Love Jenna talk about this, and so I'm going to give it a try. I have another thriller. I'm going to try Frida McFadden. This is The Crash. It says the nightmare she's running from is nothing compared to where she's headed. Tegan is 8 months pregnant, alone, and desperately wants to put her crumbling life in the rearview mirror. So she hits the road, not realizing she's headed straight into a blizzard. Hours later, when Tegan is stranded in rural Maine with a dead car and broken ankle, she worries. Cooper. Shh. She worries she's made a terrible mistake. Then a miracle occurs. She is rescued by a couple who offers her a room in their warm cabin until the snow clears. But something isn't right. Staying here may have been her worst deadly mistake yet. I wonder if they want that baby. And then I decided I wanted to try this beautiful book, Alchemy of Secrets, by Stephanie Garber. It starts with a class in an old movie theater. Folklore 517. Local legends and urban myths taught by a woman called the Professor. Most students believe the Professor's stories are just fiction, but Holland St. James has always been convinced that magic is real. When she tracks down a local legend named the Watchman, who can supposedly tell you when you'll die, the world finally makes sense. Except that the Watchman tells her she will die at midnight tomorrow, unless she finds an ancient object called the heart. Alchemical heart. I don't know how you say it. I'm done. Okay, I have one nonfiction. I have Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard, Killing Reagan. The most anticipated installment in the multi-million selling series. Just 2 months into his presidency, Ronald Reagan lay near death after a gunman's bullet came within inches of his heart. His recovery was nothing short of remarkable, or so it seemed. But Reagan was grievously injured, forcing him to encounter a challenge that few men ever face. Could he silently overcome his traumatic experience while at the same time carrying out the duties of the most powerful man in the world? I love Bill O'Reilly's books. I've read Killing Kennedy and Killing Lincoln, and they're just superb. And then my last one is a chunker. It has 529, but it feels like a lot heavier. Maybe it's because it's a hardback. And it has deckled pages. And it is Kate Atkinson, Life After Life. And it says, there aren't enough breathless... Oh, wait, that's a... On a cold and snowy night in 1910, Ursula Todd is born to an English banker and his wife. Ursula dies before she can draw her first breath. On that same cold and snowy night, Ursula Todd is born, lets out a lusty wail, and embarks upon a life that will be, to say the least, unusual. For as she grows, she also dies repeatedly in a variety of ways, while the young century marches on toward its second cataclysmic world war. Does Ursula's apparent infinite number of lives give her the power to save the world from its inevitable destiny? And if she can, will she? Startlingly imaginative, darkly comic, deeply poignant, this is Kate Atkinson in her absolute best. So, I learned about Kate Atkinson because I saw it on a shelf on Sue Jackson's channel. She was sitting in front of her shelves and I saw one of her books sitting behind her. So anyway, that is my TBR Spin 2026 Reading Challenge TBR. So I hope you are participating, and I will link Freshly Read Books channel down below. And if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you want to see more from me, click that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.